Descent into Darkness, Season 2, A Call of Cthulhu campaign. Welcome back to Death Watch's Call of Cthulhu campaign, Descent into Darkness, Season 2. This is episode 18, probably. Our in-universe time is June 16th. Is that right?
That's what I got, yep.
In the early afternoon still. Before we get into it, let's go around the table and have our investigators do an introduction of their character, perhaps their current thinking or state of mind.
All right. Hi, I'm Chris. I'm playing Johann Mueller, retired history professor, and I'm currently looking forward to seeing Travis reenact all of Hamlet.
I'm Brandon, playing Dr. Wallace Andrews, and currently we are about to let the Detective Nichols know that Mr. Clark was abducted and then continue our own efforts to find where he is and perhaps rescue him.
I'm Justin. I'm playing Lance Monroe, the occult museum curator, and right now I am still trying to wrap my mind around the visions that were given to me by the consortium, and ecstatic that I have the Liber Ivanus in my possession. Nothing else really matters.
I'm John, playing James Whitmire, and I'm I don't know, I'm kind of stunned by this this room that I'm in at this point, with this mystery exit way.
Okay, so we will open on the Wilbur Theater. We will go down a hallway somewhere within the structure where Whitmire is looking into an empty room except for a table upon which is something like a steel safe. Mr. Whitmire, you would think it's 32 inches, and you had just heard some men talking, but they have disappeared somewhere, and all that is in this room is a steel safe by the looks of it. Although there are some odd inscriptions on the safe itself. You can give me a Cthulhu Mythos roll.
This roll will determine,
Yes.
Oh my God, we're
goodness.
screwed.
That's incredible.
How?
That isn't believable.
I only call for those knowing you're never going to succeed at them. Okay.
He's got he's hacked the system or something.
I don't know. I want a camera on your
Yeah.
screen. I want to see what's going on. All right.
That's Microsoft Paint right there.
He's got some talent, though,
Yeah.
I must say. Okay, so with that successful Cthulhu Mythos roll, you know that what you're seeing is the language Aklo. Not only do you have a glimpse of it in your memory from when you, shall we say, mistakenly received a letter to Mr. Monroe all the way back in Lima, in which Meriwether had included a photo of these Aklo symbols, but you also are remembering something you read recently in the book Nameless Cults, which described the importance of Aklo when it came to using mysterious abilities. And now some context sort of comes together for you, and you remember a section in your skim reading that talked about a particular artifact called a gate box, in which sorcerers could use to travel from one location to another, and the time or the distance between those places wasn't a factor when using these gate boxes. So you realize that if Nameless Cults was correct, then what has happened is two men have entered this gate box and they've gone to who knows where. What would you like to do?
I'd like to check around it and maybe see if I could move it at all.
Yeah. So give me a strength roll.
Nope.
So yeah, you realize you can budget, so you lift it a little bit, but really it'd be like lifting a safe of that size on your own. So you would need help or at least a dolly to effectively move it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was wondering. Like, is it just this appearance for for appearance sake, or is it actually the safe that they, I guess, created into a gateway? From what I'm understanding.
Well, an assumption you can make by what you read in the Nameless Cults is what he had described in that story. The author was at least on their side of the gate box, that it had been the coven's. It was like a wardrobe, right? So kind of like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. They would enter one side of it and come out, deep in the English countryside, to where they could perform their ceremonies in secret. So the form of it perhaps is chosen during its construction. And this has all the trappings of a regular safe, including it looks like it has a combination lock to open it. You don't really see anything mystical in that end of it. In fact, you think maybe on a good day you could even pick it and open it.
Today's not a good day.
You were close. You think with a little bit more tampering you might be able to do it.
Well, the other part that I'm not sure of is, I guess, if I just open this, is it going to activate? Is it still going to work as a gateway, or am I going to open it as an actual safe? I think I would need somebody with a little bit more knowledge in these things. So what I'd like to do is go find that, I don't remember if I took it off or not, that usher's or waiter's uniform or jacket, and go out and find Professor Mueller.
Okay.
Under the guise of an emergency telegram for you, try and get him to come back here.
Well, if memory serves, I believe you still had that coat on, because you had ditched your original coat to appear as a workman, carried that thing in, some item, and then you saw that coat when you wanted to go elsewhere. Does that fit with your memory?
I just couldn't remember if I'd put it down or something, but...
All right, so while you're considering the gate box before you and planning to go find Mr. Mueller, we'll switch over to inside the theater itself, where this playhouse, the Wilbur Theater, seems to be running a fairly standard rendition of Hamlet.
Except for the fettered spirit on stage?
Yes, except for the glowing, yellow-eyed ghost appearing as dictated by the play. You're not certain as you watch him appear whether you're actually looking at the corpse or not. It could actually just be a very thin person. There's a high level of makeup on this person. But anyhow, while the performances are standard, perhaps even subpar, the floating apparition of the late King Hamlet never fails to get the crowd's appreciation. It's not clear how these acts of levitation are achieved, as you don't see obvious wires or other suspension devices. But then you get a little ways through the play and they have an intermission, at which point an usher approaches you with a note. And right behind him, you see James Whitmire walking up as well, looking for all the world like an usher at the Wilbur Theater.
I'll take the note, Donkashon, to the usher, and I'll open it.
So it says...
Oh, man, I need to get back into Casimir thinking. You just don't read parchment.
All it takes is 1 point of sanity loss. All right. So it says, while we understand and respect the power of human curiosity, you must stay the course, Mr. Mueller. Please focus your attention on the scapegoat and leave these other matters to those with understanding. As a courtesy, the manager has been instructed to meet with you and is waiting in the foyer now. Please enjoy the rest of the show. But then you're there, Mr. Whitmire.
All right, so I'll, if there's people around, I'll say that, sir, I'll ask Professor Mueller, as I have a very important matter for you to attend. If you'll please follow me.
I'll look at him for a bit, and then I'll kind of hand him the note.
Okay. So yeah, same thing, Mr. Whitmire.
And while he's reading it, I'll start to kind of stand up, and start leaning on my cane.
Yeah, if you glance around the auditorium there, now the house lights are on, you can see that trio of what you would expect are consortium members. Now they're looking at you. And whether or not you want to be stealthy about your glimpse, or if they catch you looking, then there's just a tip of the hat, right? So
Yeah, I'll return that.
yeah.
All right. So reading this, I'll quietly tell him that I found a gate box. Is that right? Gate box?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I read about it in one of the books from the keep getting these two mixed up. It's not the Rupert Merriweather one. It's
The Nameless
Silver-
Cults.
Yeah, the Silver Twilights library.
Yeah, you found it on top of the bookshelf at the Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight. Not on the bookshelf, but literally like on top.
But
Or in
I
the bookshelf.
think that, well, I know that it's active because right before I went into the room, there were two people in there, at least two people in there talking.
Well, unless you plan on to activate and go through it, I don't see too much reason to stay here more than necessary. I already know that this is indeed a place where a corpse has been fettered, or a soul, as evidenced by the glowing eyes of the ghost that was on stage.
Yeah, and you are also trained now to pick up on that sensation at your temples, kind of like the beginnings of a headache, but without the pain. And you had gotten that too, Whitmire, although I don't know if you had understood the association. But one thing that does occur as you spend time here is it fades to zero basically after, 10 minutes or so of being around it. Same thing happened in the park and in Corbett's house.
And for certain that this establishment is indeed built on a ley line. So we have our proof that we need, as far as any proof of the occult needs to go.
Okay. So I guess, do you want to go talk to the manager? And what are they talking about? What the note said something about a fall guy, right?
That would be something you're not aware of.
Yeah, that's
at
what
this
I'm
time.
asking
gotcha.
Mueller about. I was like,
Oh,
do you-
yes,
if you don't want to check out the gate, that's fine. And I don't want to spend more time here than we need to. Do you want to go talk to this manager? And I'll look at the note again and say, what are they talking about a fall guy for?
I had meant to speak to you about that, Turner. In order to obtain access back to, was it Boston? Is that where I am?
Yeah.
Back into Boston, I had to cut a deal with the consortium. I agreed to find them a scapegoat for young Charlie Murphy, and they allowed me to re-enter and continue the investigation. Thankfully, I believe that I have found such a scapegoat.
It's you, Mr. Whitmire.
It's
Oh,
all,
I said the quiet part out loud.
start
Part out loud. Sorry
backing
about that.
So, I believe that you would not be shocked by that. I have heard of your escapades in Peru from Herr Monroe. You seem quite capable of dealing with unsavory sorts.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, what else would you like to do here?
I believe we will talk to the manager, maybe perhaps get more of a history, enough to appease Monroe's curiosity. And then we'll make our leave, and I don't know. I still need to convince them that we need to bring that young boy that you were talking about, the boyfriend of the college girl. We need to get him. I believe he will be our scapegoat. Is he already confessed?
Yeah, well, damn it. Let me look through those notes.
Monroe Beckett was the name of that student.
Beckett? Okay.
Danke, Herr Keeper.
All right, so are we ready to move out into the foyer and
Yeah.
talk to this manager?
Start walking.
All right, there you see a middle-aged gentleman who perhaps as a puffed up way of thinking about his position here as the manager of the Wilbur Theater. But he seems to know who he's looking for. So when you come out, he raises his hand in acknowledgement, and he offers his hand for a firm handshake.
I'll smile and shake his hand.
Yeah, name's Brent Lang. I'm the manager of the Wilbur. How are you liking it today?
John, do you take off the usher jacket before we walk up? Okay.
As we're going, I'll just like hang it over the back of one of the seats.
A most wonderful play. What was his name?
Brent. Mr. Lang.
Herr Lang.
Yeah.
This is my companion and fellow, pursuer of the supernatural. James Whitmire.
And he offers his hand to you, James.
I'll,
nice to meet you, gentlemen.
And
good to meet you too.
We are just simply here to disprove that this place is haunted. I've heard rumors here and there.
Yes.
And
I am aware of them.
I am perhaps your ticket, your manager of the tickets has informed you, but I am a professor of the occult. And namely, I attempt to disprove such unscientific irrationalities. And I would like to do so here.
Well, that would be quite helpful for me. Every now and then I get some wackadoo comes in here, knocking on the walls, and they bring in weird bits of metal, and they're all kinds of craziness. But we have a few minutes before the intermission's due to end. Perhaps we could sit down and speak in comfort.
No, of course. And I must warn you that my methods are of those wackadoos. I attempt to disprove it in a way that they will understand.
I see. Well, a friend of a friend has told me to extend all courtesies.
Danke schön.
Please, this way, gentlemen. And he leads you into the manager's office, and he has a few chairs in there on the other side of his desk, and you guys all settle there, and he offers a cigar to those who would take it, or perhaps a drink from a crystal decanter he pulls from his desk.
I'll take the drink, and I'll say no to the cigar and light my pipe.
I'll take.
And he's
a
like,
cigar,
all right, well,
but no drink.
So you've heard of the haunting at the Wilbur Theater. And what is it that you've heard?
Not too much, mainly vague rumors, but I believe that they probably see a ghost, glowing eyes, that sort of thing. Lots of non-solid evidence, of course. There can be no solid evidence when dealing with something that is not real. But like I said, vague rumors.
Yes, I have heard that story before, and no matter what I say, certain papers continue to run with it. Are you planning to publish anything on your findings?
I will write this, what's that, like a professor, like a term, not a term paper,
Maybe
A dissertation?
Yeah.
Okay.
I plan to write a simple dissertation that will be circulated among the various scientific groups.
Well, that would be very helpful if it were to dispel this rumor. Well, if you're interested, I could introduce you to the cast once the show's done. Maybe you can see around in the back there, see how we do certain things. But, I mean, this is really all just a ruse, right, Mr. Mueller? I mean...
For me, I am serious in proving that ghosts are fake. They are falsehood created by overactive imagination or perhaps some underlying mental stress or defect. So, me being here to disprove ghosts is not a ruse. So take of that what you will. I am going to seriously attempt to discover if there is something supernatural here. But I believe that there will not be.
Well, that's interesting. I thought, considering our mutual friend, that you would have other aims, other goals. He said if you were interested in advancement, he had another task for you.
Now I understand what you mean by ruse. Yes, I know that there is a ghost here. I know that it is a feathered soul of one of the owners. I don't actually need to prove anything one way or the other. Well, I apologize for wasting your time, in fact.
It is as you say, and it would... however, if your dissertation were to combat that fact, I'd be happy perhaps a donation to your college or some other charity?
Well, I'm agreeable to that, yes. I can write a favorable dissertation disproving the ghost here.
And is it still necessary to meet the cast, see behind the curtain?
No, I imagine based on what I saw of the play that he doesn't appear to be overly aggressive, so no need to do anything about that. I believe that the cast and crew seem to be fine and healthy, yes, for the most part.
Yes, everything.
Any sudden disappearances?
Oh, no, of course not. Nothing like that.
Then he is not like his other kin and his ilk. Yeah.
No.
Any missing earlobes, perhaps?
Eccentric, but
Etc.
no harm is being done. Not in the long term, anyways.
I'll give him my smile. We are all a little eccentric sometimes.
There was one other matter, though. Our mutual friend is always trying to see what his associates are up to and perhaps make room for advancement.
Mm-hmm.
If you're interested, and he pulls out an envelope that's unmarked, apparently the calculus has been done, and a person, sorry, he said you would know what this would mean, can safely be removed from the board. He said not to open it here, it's for your consideration only, that you would know how to do that, or perhaps a companion, Mr. Monroe, would know how to do that. Of course, this is just an offer. It's not a requirement, but I have it here if you wish it.
I'll take it and I'll put it in my attaché.
Okay.
Yes. Unless you have anything else, perhaps we'll finish your cigars and our drinks and my bowl, and we'll make our way out if you apologizing again for wasting any of your time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's no problem at all. We're working together on this. And you're not going to stay for the rest of the show?
No, I believe that I have seen more than enough. I was mainly here for the ghost. And I'm sorry again for putting you through this dog and pony show.
Oh, don't mention it. Please, it was my pleasure. And he stands up, shakes your hand, and escorts you guys out of his office. So from there, what would you like to do and where would you like to go?
I want to go to that back alley and see if my vest is still there.
Yes, it is.
So, Herr Wittmeier, I've been meaning to ask you, did you have any dreams last night? Or what is their name? Nashed in common thought? Perhaps?
I did have a dream.
Wunderbar.
They said that I was worthy, and they gave me...
Johan's eye begins to twitch when he hears that one.
They said they gave me 3 gifts, 4 if you count the dagger, and then I started my journey through a forest, overcoming every obstacle seamlessly until I got to a village.
Oh, really? That's most wonderful, Herr Wittmeier. Good for you.
I don't know what the point of that was, though, because I'm still trying to work it out.
That is very dangerous, Wittmeier. You are entering a realm of deeper slumber. That's what the gate was.
Yeah, that's what they said, too, is that... And I just don't know what I'm supposed to do there.
How much do I know? Can I basically freestyle?
You go with whatever you...
Because I don't know too much in real life either. But anyway, So I'll keep it simple for you, Wittmeier. It's real. What will happen there is real. You must be very cautious. Or you will not wake. Do you understand me?
I understand that part, but what is the point of being there?
Time passes different. There's things that can happen there that cannot happen here. 1,000 years could pass in the dream, and you will wake up and no time will have passed except the night's sleep that you had. It is a very, very special place, and very dangerous.
Did I take myself there?
No. We believe that it was the dream castle that allowed us to perceive the stairway that led to the gate.
I see. Okay.
Herr Monroe will be experimenting tonight. I believe he will be smoking with us. Unfortunately, I worry because Herr Andrews and myself were not found worthy that we might not be welcome back a second time unless we have achieved the necessary enlightenment.
Well, so you guys didn't get to pass the gate?
9.
So should I smoke that tonight too then?
It might not be necessary for you to partake of the Dream Castle anymore. You have already opened the doorway.
So I should try and go back through. Do you have any advice on how I can get back through the gate or find it again without the Dream Castle?
No, I do not know. Like I said, you have already opened the gate. You are linked, perhaps, to it already. Just dream yourself there.
Where is Monroe holding this experiment?
Most likely in his own room.
Oh, are you gonna be there too?
I don't really see a reason not to. I mean, we're going to meet up. He'll probably smoke then. I don't know.
Well, if you'd like, I would gladly partake in this experiment with trying to re-enter the realm of deeper sleep
Without partaking?
without partaking.
Yes, that would be a good experiment. Perhaps you and Monroe can talk about it next we meet.
Sounds good to me. Could I do like an education to try and write down some of those symbols that I had seen on that safe?
The Aklo?
Yeah. Or could I describe them, I guess, to Mueller? I'm not sure what the heck they mean, and other than I've seen them before, but maybe they'll be something he can use.
And where should we be heading to, John?
What's that?
Where should we be heading to also? We need to take care of that.
I think that we were doing this, and then there was supposed to be a dinner that we were going to attend.
Okay.
Yeah, so you guys would be a few hours away from this dinner.
Yeah.
So let's actually pause on you guys, and we'll zoom over to the Hermetic Order of the Silver Twilight Lodge Hall, where Mr. Monroe and Dr. Andrews had just sent off Dr. Call to go interview Wallace Bowers at the Danvers State Hospital for any information about who was the true culprit of this ritual. And he has gone off, and Dr. Andrews had resolved to send off a few telegrams, but at that moment, while you guys are in this waiting area, this reception room, where you could speak privately, the door bangs open, and in walks Logan Terry. And in his hand, he has 3 glasses and a bottle. And he has a very faux cheerful look on his face. You can see there's always that underlying thread of tension or perhaps anger that is there whenever you look at him. But he says, my favorite little tin investigators, what are you up to? I've just heard the most interesting rumor, and I'm certain that you men know about it.
And good detective or officer, what rumors have you heard now?
Well, and he walks forward, and he sets those glasses on a table, and he starts pouring the liquor into them. What I have heard is that James Clark has been abducted. Is that right?
I have actually just heard that rumor myself, yes. Apparently he ran afoul of some men of some sort, not too unheard of in his profession, I've heard. Especially for a man that occasionally takes on members of the criminal underground.
Well, I see. Please, have a drink. We're all members in the same fraternity, so what are we going to do about it?
What kind of liquor is it?
It's scotch, we'll say.
Okay. I'll wave off the scotch and say I have my tonic right for now, and I appreciate the offer, though.
Well, of course, you would have your tonic. What about you, Dr. Andrews?
Please, yes, I'll take a drink.
You know, that first night after your guys' initiation, I talked to Whitmire, and he said that Peter Fallon hired you to look into this Dooley murder. Does this disappearance of James Clark have something to do with all that?
Having just heard about the abduction myself, I truly can't say.
Oh, come on, Mr. Monroe. What is with the reluctance?
No, I honestly cannot say whether or not it had anything to do with this. As I have told you before, I investigate things, matters of the occult, and you told me to leave this one alone.
But I have my suspicions that you did not.
Well, I follow the leads wherever they go, and you sent me up to Harvard. It turns out that some of the boys you had mentioned one boy had gone missing, that he had several friends that were meddling in matters of the occult, and that one of them, or many of them, had problems with the Dooley man.
So you're saying it's my fault? You kept your nose in it.
No, I'm just stating that you pointed me down a path, and that path eventually led back around to Dooley.
That'll do, Mr. Monroe. I'd like to hear from Dr. Andrews. What are we going to do about this? We can't just let one of our brothers be picked up on the street.
Blood.
Right you are. We must do something about this. I suggest we contact the police.
Well, who do you think nabbed him?
It's difficult to say, but...
But I know exactly the two.
But yeah. But I believe it was Quinn, Doyle, Percy, Sweeney Byrne, and Quinn Doyle.
Oh, I see.
Men whom I've had an encounter with previously.
Well,
they attempted to threaten me, only to discover I don't threaten so easily. I'll give him a hard look.
Is that right? Well, contacting the police would make sense. It'd be a real handy way for a nice written report to see itself into whoever kidnapped James Clark's hands. Then they know exactly that we were onto them. What else you got?
Well, you're not suggesting that there's any corrupt members of the police force, are you?
I am suggesting
Sir,
that.
What would they look like if we were able to find such corrupt members of the police force?
Well, I'll spin a little yarn for you. For the last 5 years, I've been trying to pin something on Francis Walsh that would put him away for good. We were close a few years ago, and then a police strike happened. When I saw which way the wind was blowing, I kept working. Men I worked with for years looked at me like a betrayer when I crossed the picket line, as it were. 1,500 cops go on strike for 4 days, and it's all mayhem on the streets of Boston. Then they're all fired and replaced, lickety-split. What do you think happens to an ongoing investigation at that time? What do you think happens to evidence? Every lead and angle we had dried up in the space of a weekend. So I got to start from scratch. I shut my gob, I take my licks, and I make sergeant, and that's a big deal. And next thing you know, I'm getting invited to these galas and fundraiser events, and you know what I see? Vice President Coolidge shaking hands with Mayor Peters, who's shaking hands with what's-his-face at the AFL that represented all these cops, who's shaking hands with Francis Walsh. And in my mind, all these hands are starting to look a little red. And who's running the force now? A bunch of yes men. Because every man with a backbone got his walking papers at the end of that strike. But you know what sticks out in my mind the most? All those damn looks of betrayal. So I'm going to pull down this curtain and see whose hand is behind it, by God. And that's why I don't want you guys in this investigation.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you think we're going to ruin your plan to...
Well, I didn't call you Little Tin investigators for nothing.
Cast a light on all the corruption. But we would never do such a thing. Our only intent is to see to it that justice is done properly and that this poor boy, Charlie, is not taken to the electric chair for a murder he didn't commit. I suspect that's why Mr. Clark was abducted, because we'd recently convinced him to take on Charlie's case. And there are apparently powerful men who don't want to see the truth come out in regards to the murder of Mr. Dooley.
Well, that may be true. Now, I don't think you're going to solve that problem in the short term or the long term. Like I said, this isn't your grandma's pie. But I can help. Maybe you want to know where Francis Walsh may be. Maybe that's where James Clark is.
Well, maybe we do, and maybe he is. But then the next question would be, what do we do about it?
What do you want to do about it?
well, if we can't trust any police or, officials, I suppose we'd have to effect a rescue somehow, but I just don't see us coming out of that alive. I skipped over the, hostage rescue and combat portions of medical school.
I'll laugh and cheers him at that. Good show, Doctor. Good show.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
There has to be somebody to whom Francis Walsh must answer. There has to be some level of government where there are those that are not in his pocket.
Well, that answer I don't know. Francis Walsh is up there at the highest levels with, Mayor Peters or anybody else. They're all on the same level as far as I can tell. But, it may not be as difficult as you think. He's a smart guy. He's not going to be there, interrogating James Clark himself. He's just going to have his men get the answers or convey the message or whatever it is he's trying to do. And if they don't know anybody's coming, maybe you just, a few guys who are tough, come on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I know very few of those types of men.
Hold on, Mr. Monroe.
He wasn't talking to you.
You may speak now.
Unfortunately, I don't know very many of those types of men. Those are not the circles that I tend to fraternize with.
Yeah, I suppose Whitmire up and ran off, didn't he?
Yes, and we have not seen him. Nor do we know where he is.
Which, actually, we don't.
Right. But, yes, to answer your question, if you did know where he might have been taken, then we would like to know.
Well, I know 3 places. They're all waterfront properties in Charlestown. Could be at one of those places. Probably likely is.
Okay.
And he'll just jot down the addresses for you.
And why are you helping us?
We're brothers in a fraternity.
Oh, come now. I know that means nothing to you.
I'm trying, but I'm breathing.
You piece of garbage. No, I don't. And what would you expect in return for this assistance?
Who knows? Maybe something will come up down the line. I just didn't want anything bad to happen to you guys, right?
Well, thank you then, brother. I appreciate it. But I must let you know now, I'm not a plastic surgeon. There's nothing I can do about your face.
Whoa, what'd you say about my face? No.
Well, it's just that I've seen your picture on this corkboard. And I figured you might want, as I'm a doctor, maybe you might want some help with that, but that's not my area of expertise.
Look, I'll tell you the same thing I told Jimmy Whitmire. I just want us to be on the level. So what are you guys? You're really just trying to get a kid out of the justice system?
The kid was innocent.
He didn't kill his uncle.
That's it?
That's it. For me.
And like I said, there's something else to this, and I believe that this Harvard occult society really is to blame for this murder.
Yes, I've come to believe that too, and that's my alma mater, and I won't have its name stained by...
Which I have yet to thank you for that lead.
The devil.
I'll tell you what. If any of this goes wrong, blows up my investigation, I'm going to break Mr. Monroe's legs.
It's a risk I'm willing to take.
All right. If you need help, I do know a guy, although it's not going to be cheap, and you might not like asking for his help.
Why not?
Well, he's not too dissimilar from Francis Walsh himself.
I see.
But he's at odds with the fella.
Uh-huh.
Any gain or any loss for Francis Walsh is a gain for him.
An enemy of my enemy is my friend.
That's what they
Do you
say.
by any chance speak of Patrick Malone?
What? Certainly not. Yes, I do.
That could create a complication, as I believe Mr. Whitmire has had some trouble with him recently.
Oh, no, that's certainly not the case. Not Whitmire. Yeah, Whitmire, he just wanted Whitmire's help.
Okay, so I'll thank him then, and I'll say, suppose it's possible that I might have to amend my initial opinion of you.
Well, my mom always said I was a butthead.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of a term appropriate to the
It's
age.
because of your face.
Oh, quit talking about my face.
Sourpuss could work for
Yeah.
that.
Mom always said I was a sourpuss, but truly, gentlemen, I am trying to honor my place here in this fraternity. And I chose it because I vetted a lot of the members so far, and they don't seem to be attached to this thing protecting Francis Walsh, as far as I can tell. There's a few people I'm a little worried about, but that'll get sorted out in time.
Well, then I suppose it would only be our duty as your fellow fraternity members to warn you that your investigation could become very deadly for you,
I think it has been this whole time.
and that you may not fully understand the depths that it goes.
That's a weird accusation coming from you, Mr. Monroe.
I'm sure it seems that way.
What are you going to library through all your problems? I mean, who am I talking to right now?
Yes. Although I
power.
have survived more than you can know.
If you say so.
Already had your leg broken once.
Yes. I have actually already had my legs broken for sticking my nose where it doesn't belong. Dr. Andrews himself patched me up, as it were.
Well, I'll leave you gentlemen to it. But please, should your investigation go in certain directions, please keep me apprised of it. There's a lot of plates spinning right now, and I don't want you guys to mess that up. That's all my interest is.
Okay. Well,
I can
thank you
respect that.
again, and I will respect that as well and let you know anything that we learn that might help you in your investigation.
Cheers. And then he sees himself out.
All right. And as he goes, I'll tell him to watch out for singularities that allow extra dimensional beings to come through to this world. And I want to see, like,
If there's any recognition.
yeah, like if that's absolutely crazy to him, or if like that makes more sense than it ought to a normal person. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do. Yes, give me an extreme psychology roll.
Okay. I'll definitely succeed here.
Do I get a shot at it too? Or
Oh, not close.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, use some luck.
Yeah, you can go for it.
I'm trying to save
on
up my luck for next
Yeah,
time I get
I didn't
attacked
get
by an
close.
extra dimensional.
Age demon.
If he shows any reaction to it that seems unusual, you don't pick up on it. He kind of like blinks at you and he's like, I thought Monroe was the kooky one.
What do them words even mean?
Seen you later. What are you talking about? Goes to New York. All right. Yes, he exits the scene, and there you guys are. And you said you wanted to amend your plans, Dr. Andrews, Mr. Monroe?
Yeah, well, if we've got these addresses, then it's time we get in contact with some muscle to help us check these places out. And I think Whitmire knows people, and Finn McCracken.
And perhaps even Detective Nichols.
And Detective Nichols.
Well, you guys do know that you're a few hours away from meeting with Nichols for dinner. I've really been struggling with how, because a lot of times we won't think of it ahead of time, like when you're going to get back together, how you're going to stay in touch with each other. So we can just always retcon it. We can be like, well, I'll say that I told Mueller that I was going to be at this place after I went to the library, and so he can send off a telegram, and we'll just have that in the air unless you guys say otherwise.
Whoa, Monroe, we need to remember to go back and put the note.
Well, I was going to stop by my museum anyway, so we could say
Which
that.
is the center for all telegrams in
Yeah.
Boston, yes.
Yeah, so, I'll say, well, if we have nothing else to do, I have something I would like to stop by and speak to my assistant at the museum, and perhaps there is a telegram of some sort there.
Okay. Do you want me to go with you?
Yes, might as well.
Okay.
Or did you want to have an agreement to meet there after your investigation into what you looked into, Mueller?
Yeah, I'm fine with going back, meeting with them.
Okay.
Just depending on how much time we had before the dinner.
You guys, it kind of makes sense. So let's split off, look into these matters, and then we'll meet back at the library, and then we can catch a ride out to go to this dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
But you'll have some time while you're at your museum.
Okay.
So we will flash there unless somebody wants to do anything.
Is Lamar's shop on the way? He's right near my museum, right? I just want to stop in and see if he's okay.
Yeah.
I pull out my gun and start blasting.
Yeah, you guys, you and Dr. Andrews can stop on the way to your museum.
But yeah, I'll just mention Dr. Andrews. This young man helped Johan and I out yesterday, and he seemed a little bit distraught by what we had uncovered, and so I wanted to check and make sure that he's okay.
Oh, okay.
That the guy that
Ripped off his own earlobe? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's also the guy that helped us at Corbett.
Yeah.
He was the guy that we got for the seance. That never happened because everyone went insane.
So, Dr. Andrews, you can give me a spot hidden roll. Not you, Mr. Monroe. You already made it and failed it.
Just a regular?
Yep.
Okay.
Ooh,
Nice.
that spot hidden.
He's got to do it for finding all the, all the stuff inside someone.
Where's the liver?
Well,
Aha.
yeah, I guess that makes sense. We can go
It's
with that.
hiding right behind the kidney.
It's not supposed to be there.
So you see one of those toad statuettes in the window. It doesn't quite look like it's on display. It looks like it's sort of been tucked there out of the way because it would be behind. There's a curtain behind the window.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever's inside wouldn't be able to see it there. You could only see it from outside unless they moved the curtain.
Okay.
So yeah, it catches your eye because you recently just picked one up at the Widner Library.
Yeah. Well, so I'll point it out to Monroe. Say, these damn things are showing up everywhere. How many of these can there be?
Well, that's
Look,
not known.
it looks as if it's hidden from the person inside.
Huh. I wonder if Lamar's been having the same strange dreams as other people. I didn't notice that he was compulsively eating anything like Detective Nichols or his wife, but I'll have to ask him.
So you guys go inside and there's that sort of Near Eastern chime that goes off, and this must just be his greeting for people that come in the store, but the blood drains from his face when he sees you, Mr. Monroe. And he's like, "Oh, I can't be pulled away today."
Oh, no, Lamar. I just came to see if you have suffered any ill effects of yesterday other than the damage that was done to your ear. And this is the doctor that I told you might be able to take a look at the damage that had happened to see if there's anything that could be done.
Pay no mind to his hand. It's more than functional.
So you can see now that he has a proper bandage on his ear. He must have gotten medical help somewhere. And he says, "Oh, it's fine. I mean, I just won't have that part of my ear now." The doctors.
I truly do apologize for the damage that was done. These kinds of things can occasionally happen, and
If only we had known he was such a medium.
yeah. If I once again must thank you. I don't believe that Johan or myself could have channeled her in any other way.
But what brings you in? Surely not just to check on my health.
Well, no, I truly did come to check on your health, and you had begun speaking in medical terms yesterday that you said you didn't fully understand. I was wondering if that had continued on. Or if there had been any other ill effects or strange things that you have noticed.
Have you started eating brains?
Well, I had, I guess, a weird dream that kind of stuck with me.
And I'll describe the hill and the windmill.
I just can't, Mr. Monroe. I can't do this anymore. It's taking such a terrible toll on my psyche. How could you possibly know what I dreamed?
Well, actually, my good friend, the doctor here, pointed out a small statue that we have found recently may be causing those sorts of dreams. If you don't mind, and I'll go to the front window and I'll pull the toad statue out. Did you find this and place this there yourself?
No, I've never seen that before, although it is quite arresting. What is the nature of this statue?
It was part of an ancient Native American cult that seems to have resurfaced in Boston recently.
What is this made of? Do you know?
I'm afraid I don't know the full measure of the statue yet.
So looking at it, it looks to be more in your variety of the more ancient ones. So this one you think is probably constructed out of flint as it is nearly the copy of the original one you came across.
Okay. But I'll say, yes, if you'd like, I can take it from you and see if that helps with the dreams.
Well, I'm not.
Or if you're interested in keeping it, then you're more than welcome to.
It does seem kind of fitting for my store.
It does. I have one of them in my museum.
And you say this thing is causing this dream?
That's what we associate it with. Every time we find someone that has come across one of these or found one, then they seem to share in a similar dream.
And odd cravings.
What else does it do?
Well,
Kind of shaking it.
by any chance, have you had any strong cravings for any certain food types or even things that aren't food?
Like hair.
No.
What's this guy's name?
Lamar.
Say, well, that's good. We recently met a young woman who craved eating little metal objects and gorged herself on them to the point where she made herself quite ill. And then at another time, there was a librarian that came across one of these statues who started eating the papers of the books. And
Violent expulsion would be a good term.
it would be, yeah. But I don't want to terrify the young man anymore.
No. We feed on his terror. It's
you
good.
feed on his terror. Johan does.
No, I think I actually do too.
Yeah.
On second thought, perhaps you should take the statue.
If I will take it to my museum. If you change your mind, I'll be happy to let you have it back.
Or should I keep it?
Lamar, do you know how that statue would have gotten on your windowsill?
I don't. I certainly don't remember ordering it or buying it from anybody. But, I only hear from 9 to 9, Monday through Saturday.
Another possibility is that everyone that we've noticed that has found one of these seems to have had some encounter with a stranger with a lisp of some sort. And some have mentioned that his shadow doesn't appear to be quite right. Like something seems to be off with it. Have you had any customers like that come into your store?
Well, I can't say anything about a shadow, but I do infrequently. A man will come in and he gets various supplies for things. Perhaps if you give me some time to look through my records, I can look what kinds of things he gets. But I would describe the way you describe this lisp. He wears sort of like a fedora type hat.
Yes,
is that right?
yes, and kind of has a raspy intake of breath before he speaks. And
yeah, it's every month or every other month I'll see.
Yes, of course. And if you don't mind, and I'll show him the cover of the grimoire. I'll say, by any chance, do you happen to have a copy of this in your store?
Yes, that's a great book.
Yes,
I keep a lot of those.
I have this one for myself, but I have a friend that I would like to get a copy for.
Oh yeah, sure. Let me show you what I have in stock. And he takes you over to the book section, and there you see he has a few copies of it, but they're all more recent, right? They're none of they're more modern binding and such. So
okay, I'll look for one that's roughly the same size that might fit into this binding.
Okay, give me a luck roll.
This one's soft bound.
And this is the Liber Ivana?
I don't know what that just did.
Is that the book we're talking about?
He has another cover on it. It's like the
Does
Great
that look weird to
Grimoire.
you?
The Grand Grimoire.
Grimoire.
I think something must have happened.
Is it because your luck is still in extreme? Or no?
No, I took off the extreme.
That is odd.
You definitely got it.
What's all this gibberish from?
It's probably a run over code from whatever's going wrong with this.
This is brought about by John Hacken, the program
It's
to
not
get
doing it to mine.
luck
Here, let
roll.
me try the. No, it's just
That one?
Do you have edit mode on or anything weird like that?
No.
Well, in any case, it looks like you originally rolled a 4. So yes, you do find one that fits the dimensions, although somewhat roughly, of the Liber Ivanus that you have.
Okay.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, I'm gonna. All right, I'm gonna save some stuff.
I'm
and
holding that.
Log out and come
I
back
was
in.
trying to see what that verbose option was, because I hadn't ever clicked it.
Yeah, it gives you the
And
So,
different levels.
yeah, I'm glad I got that one out of the way.
so he's got other copies of the same book that he's looking.
Not the Liber Ivanos. He has copies of an occult book called the Grand Grimoire,
Yeah.
which is more in the satanic realm of things, right?
I believe it was also kind of described as like laughable.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
At least to
same.
somebody who's versed in the occult.
It's like the Necronomicon that you can find at Barnes & Noble.
Right, the Simon edition. However,
Yeah.
it would be worth occult skill points if you were to read it in your case, since
Yeah, I
you're
was
so low on the...
Gonna buy a copy from him.
Okay. Yeah.
Got Monroe looking at you like you're no. What? No.
I'm just an avid.
That's not the one you want.
You wouldn't be.
Lamar has decided against giving up the toad statue. His hand has retracted, and he's like, I might keep it after all.
Very well. Although I will caution you, if you ever do start having adverse effects, please let me know.
I will do that. Well, anything else besides the books today, gentlemen?
Yes, if you do want to take a few moments to take a look at and see what supplies the man with the lisp had pulled, if it won't take too long, that is.
I think it's a piece of information I'll have to get back to you.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Then I believe that that's all that we need for now. Perhaps if I stop by tomorrow?
That would do.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Store's closed tomorrow.
It's the Lord's Day tomorrow, Mr. Monroe. Actually, I think it's Saturday tomorrow.
All right. You're in a cold shop. There is no Lord's Day.
Isn't?
Every day the Lord's
No,
Day.
I had a reverse.
Ah.
I was into the occult, got spooked. Now I'm all about the Lord. Have a good day, gentlemen. And so off you go to the New England Museum of the Occult, where now all the forces of investigation are gathered in one place again. And is the storeroom going to be the default meeting area?
Everyone piling into the store.
There's a real meeting of the mind in that room.
Well, I believe we had set it up so that like I had an apartment above the museum or something
Right.
like that.
So yeah, you have your...
Yeah, we can use mine.
Okay.
I would like to drop off that picture of the symbol that I had found
Oh, right.
in
For the...
Miskatonic University and see if the person that I have that's curating the museum could send that out to have like a silver replica created of.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that would be your Annette? Was that what we named her?
I believe that's what we called her.
She says, right away, boss. And so there you all are gathered with your varied new pieces of information in the home of Mr. Monroe. I imagined when you first met Whitmire and Finn McCracken there, you had like one of those day windows that faces the street with like a table there.
Probably, yeah.
Where you guys can gather. So I will pass it over to you.
It's good to see you, Mr. Mueller.
And good to see you. I went to the public records as you and Herr Andrews asked, and there I happened upon Whitmire. Well, he happened upon me, gave me a devilish start.
Well, how fortuitous. We actually have some information. We need to speak to Mr. Whitmire ourselves. First of all, the consortium had approached me again while we were at the library and asked if we had found a suitable replacement, and I told them that we were still looking, but that we may have found one.
I'll kind of look over at Andrews while Monroe's saying this.
But unfortunately, we had some other poor news that the lawyer that we had found to work the case of the young Charles Murphy was abducted. We believe from the description of the men that took him that he was taken by Francis Walsh's men, the notorious crime lord.
Isn't he tied to
He is.
the consortium?
Yeah. He was mentioned in several of the things about either.
They are rather impatient. They barely have given us a day.
Yes.
Perhaps he has pushed too hard to stay the execution.
Yes, and considering that their plans that they had mentioned were long in fruition, it seems they are a rather impatient lot.
Well, needless to say, Herr Whitmire and myself, we did not have a completely uneventful. I, too, saw the consortium again. We were investigating the theater.
Wilbur Theater.
The Wilbur Theater, which is currently part of the estate of, where did I put it?
Daniel Ellsworth.
Of Daniel Ellsworth.
This is all Dr. Kimball, or Mr. Kimball, the ghoul, whispering in your ear, right?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. So you see me looking off to the side, and before.
So did you happen to find that that there was a place of power as we had suspected?
Oh, yes, most definitely. Almost instantly, the pressure from the ley line took effect.
Quite wonderful.
And we found the fettered spirit as well, but not his fetter itself. He is partaking in Hamlet currently.
Well, that seems to be the most active remaining member of the church that we have found yet.
The director, the manager of the theater, he knows about this, as well as who would be protecting the area. And apparently the spirit is, outside of a couple odd occurrences here or there, relatively harmless to the employees and the audience.
Well, it's good to hear that, unlike Corbett, who seemed to harm those that came near his place of fetter, and the strange things that the young Lady Flores was demanding, that at least this ghost or surviving member is a little less aggressive.
And other good news, I'll let Herr Wittmeyer talk about it, but he too encountered 2 Egyptian kings on his dream. Wittmeyer. Nothing?
Yeah, so
Okay.
as I was telling Professor Mueller earlier, I don't understand much of it, and he gave me a basic rundown, but I did have a dream where I met these two I don't know if they're still men or not, but they looked at an altar.
Johann's eye starts twitching before he gets to the next part.
And then, they deemed me worthy and gave me 4 gifts and let me pass beyond the gate.
Did I say Monroe? I meant mine, but Monroe's eye can start twitching after he hears it.
Well, yeah, I'll definitely be like leaning in to hear that somebody made it past the gate.
And I traveled through this ancient forest, and after overcoming the creatures in the forest, as I came up upon a village, unfortunately, that's where I woke. Another bright spot as well is I believe that we found a gate box at the Wilbur Theater.
You guys can make a Cthulhu Mythos roll. I forgot to ask you, Mueller, but go ahead.
Yeah. I'm afraid I'm unfamiliar with the term gate box. Johann?
It is all new to me. Such thing doesn't seem inconceivable compared to whatever else is going on.
Yes.
So, but as far as activation of it or
Oh man, I failed.
any sort of
How could you have failed?
I thought I was going to make that one. I have 1 point in it.
Hey, I'll describe it to him, though, with the markings that were on there. And from what I know of it, is it allows you to travel vast distances or short. As I'm not sure exactly if it's just tied to another endpoint or if you determine which other gate you're going to come out of. But
I think Johann dismisses most of what Wittmeyer says on the matter.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's the position you have to take because you
Of the
fumbled.
failure, yeah. But I don't want to quite be just outright rude to him. So, but yeah, like personally, Johann doesn't believe anything Wittmeyer believes on the matter.
Yeah, and I believe Wittmeyer, in his travel over here, scribbled down from memory a few of those symbols that were on the outside of the safe.
Is this going to be another time like the Harvard, like the Harvard drawing where it is so horrible that it's unrecognizable?
let's find out.
Well, that's kind of good. Actually, let's do that same thing. Let's do your. I think I had you set up the the sketch skill or something like that when you tried to draw the Harvard symbol. So we'll have you do that roll again.
What was the option to do education instead?
No, it's not really pertinent to this one. I might have called for an intelligence roll if there was, for like remembering it, if there's a lot of time. But
could archaeology partake in that for like not the sketching of people, but the sketching of like environments and rooms?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, there is a lot of overlap with these skills. I just wanted a higher fumble chance. So he didn't create, he didn't actually make ACLO words that activated when he showed them to you or anything like that. They're just not, they don't capture the entirety of it. But it is good enough, to Whitmire's credit, because they're relatively simple, to look like what you have seen. You saw them both in the pyramid in Peru and in that photograph that was given to you by Mr. Merriweather.
Would appears as a ACLO in nature. But...
Yes, although these words don't quite make sense. Any place that we've seen these symbols definitely have places of high importance.
And the consortium is all over the theater, so
yes,
very likely.
Now, I seem to remember that I got the update from Monroe last session about the consortium wanting us to find a... Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was still looking at you kind of weird, because you were supposed to be kept in the dark.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Giving your goody good nature.
Yeah, but I won't really speak up while they're having this conversation, because I just got like the bullet points. I don't truly understand.
Yeah.
And I had like Monroe's idea of, a sacrifice is somebody who has guilt in a murder. So that probably would have been part of my explanation to Andrews, was that we needed to find someone that was guilty that we can pin it on. Which
is why I was happy to agree to it, because, we're trying to find the people responsible anyway. So.
Oh, by the way, did you find anything at the Hall of Records about the other members that had passed away?
The other member,
yeah, they all saw the handouts, but now would be the first time their characters see the other two death certificates for Daniel Ellsworth and William Monroe.
Yes,
so I guess we can lay him out on the table.
Yeah. William Monroe, his estate went to his widow, and they have a son there, William Monroe Jr., I believe, that is living at the estate. I believe that's a name that you might recognize. One of the Harvard
along
boys.
With the widow.
And they're staying where?
At the estate of the husband, the deceased. Other than that, I know not too much.
Yeah, so we were...
And then you also got the ones for Daniel Ellsworth and Lily Flores, right?
Daniel Ellsworth, yes. I believe that when I inquired, that Lily Ellsworth was not too much mentioned.
You got the Lily Flores one from Wayne Nichols.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
From the articles.
Because Whitmire had sent him off to look into that.
But that is why I went to the theater, because it was his. It was part of the estate. It was that went to the estate. I had to go to another Hall of Records to have some clerk find that for me. Oh, and Herr Whitmire and myself, we encountered a, how do you say, a tale.
A tale.
Someone who was following us with the intent of spying.
Although
I held him at gunpoint.
He didn't do a very good job.
He was most terrified.
Well, congratulations, I suppose, would be in order.
I had meant last time to send off telegraph to Betty.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to find some of the other names to see if it related.
And you also had Wayne Nichols looking into that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I suppose I would have told her how to
contact
respond,
you.
Right.
Okay. Well, we'll say that your telegram has been sent and it's out there.
Okay.
Bouncing off the world.
Anyway, he was sent with the intent of spying on me. He was there before. He was there when I was exiled permanently from the public library. An interesting story. I will tell you some other time. But anyway, I believe that he was sent by the consortium to keep an eye on all of my movements and actions, and I suspect that he will soon probably be dead or put under some spell and brainwashed away.
Or perhaps like the young librarian that we encountered.
Very much.
Anyway, looking at these death certificates, Dr. Anders, do you see anything interesting about them? I've noticed that they all died of the Spanish influenza.
On the same day.
On the same day, yes.
Let's see.
Well, when you had seen him last time, you guys both mentioned that you saw Carl Moore
Yeah.
and Samuel Blackman as the informant.
Yep.
Yeah,
Carl Moore being the physician.
right. So Carl Moore signed all these.
I must apologize if I did not get the correct information.
Ethan Perkins.
No, this is perfect. This is exactly what we were wondering about.
I must admit that the second I found that the theater was still owned and around, I rushed to it in hopes of finding another feather.
Well, just knowing that it is a place of power means that we know that one is there.
I have had a theory or inkling about the locations. Perhaps I'll run it past you, Monroe. I believe that the old dreams and
They also died at the same time, and their certificates are all signed by this Carl Moore. Do we know who that is?
Nope, not yet.
I apologize, Professor Mueller. That just really stuck out to me.
Oh,
Didn't
no
mean
problem.
to interrupt.
Interrupt. Unfortunately, I forget where I was going. Oh, well, it will come back to me.
You rushed on. Oh, the theory about the places of power, the ley lines.
Why would you need so much power to be channeled to you?
Well,
Enough that it is most likely affecting the dreams of most people in Boston.
well, as we had read about in the story in the Liber Ivanis, there was one grand, powerful wizard that was feeding off of the others. Perhaps the only thing I can think of is that these are the worshippers of Yig, and they're attempting to bring about something in his name.
I believe that is summoning.
If so, then that is
The
a
question
very
is,
terrifying.
which direction is the summoning going? Are they going to bring, will it be Zogua into reality? Or will they be bringing Boston into the dream?
It's a very good question.
If it is even correct.
In a mechanical sense, Justin, you know that when Monroe has come out of these dreams, he has come out with less magic points. So to funnel that into an in-game sort of thing, you know that it's impacted your ability to use that power.
Yeah. And everyone has already mentioned that they are usually exhausted when they wake up. So, yeah, I'll say, well, every time we've had one of these dreams, especially as we've ventured further into the dream, we've found our power drained the next morning, moments of exhaustion. Perhaps they are channeling the
It is not
collective.
It is not a summoning, but a siphon.
Perhaps their lord or the god that they worship requires this siphoning for his.
And other than fatigue, have you have any other side effects?
As of yet, no. Although I must admit that on a mental level, I feel drained in a way that I rarely feel in other ways.
Oh,
Yeah, did I point out before that on these death certificates that Samuel Blackman is the informant for all of them?
Yeah, you pointed
And
it
that
out.
he was the one who defended these people when the church was raided.
You haven't pointed that out yet.
Yeah, Ellsworth and Monroe and Lily Flores,
Yes,
they were arrested when they raided the church or the Chapel of Contemplation in 1912, but Blackman was the lawyer who defended them successfully, and the prosecution backed away from them and went after Michael Thomas, who was sentenced to life in prison. So Blackman
Before he escaped.
might be another one to look into. Like he he's something to do with the consortium.
And he was also the one that had requested the Dream Castle, correct?
That was Mr. X, I believe.
Well, Blackman is the person who wanted the Whitmire to get that locket or whatever,
Yes.
the talisman that we destroyed.
Or we
in the
also
enemies.
say is also Mr. X, right? That they're all
His
one and the
shadow's
same.
all
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah,
They could be
we're
multiples, but
assuming
we
that
believe
he's
him, yeah.
Mr. X
Yeah.
as well.
Okay.
One thing that I wanted to mention, I'm not sure if we're talking about the same dreams or not, but I didn't feel drained at all. I felt 100% fully rested after my experience the other night.
No, the dreams that you went into is different. To the best of my knowledge, the dreams that we are speaking of is of a burial mound in Oklahoma.
Well, we assume it's in Oklahoma. It matches with the location and
I cannot
whatever.
tell.
And yes.
One place looks the same in this country.
Yes. Well, but yes, several of us, especially those of us that have had interactions with these frog statues, and I have one in my house.
I think you have 2 now.
Yeah,
And then Dr. Andrews now has one.
yeah. But yeah, I'll show him the statue. It seems as if everybody that we've found that has come across these statues has shared a dream. We've actually run into each other in the dream and explored quite extensively the area
Underworkings.
the underneath of the burial mound. But everyone that has run across these statues seems to have had the same dreams.
Now, Dr. Andrews, as the main character of the story, who's had a unique focus on the actual task at hand, as this occult talk is, how's that affecting you? You know, you've kind of had this bone in your jaw for a while now, and you've been pretty focused on it without getting too distracted.
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah.
That's not a judgment, of course, by the way.
But probably should be.
Yeah, no, we've definitely gone off on some tangents.
Well, I mean, like written in the journal, like that he hears these conversations and he listens to them. But for him, it's like every time he gets to the point where he can start allowing himself to disbelieve occultish stuff, supernatural stuff, something happens that forces him to accept that it's real. But now he's like, that's like a thing that's chasing him, and he's running from it, not because he doesn't. I don't know quite how I will come to grips with all of it, and so I'm focused on the task at hand, not only because I care about Charlie and don't want him taking the fall for this murder, but also because it's like a distraction from having to really make a decision for himself, how he's going to approach all this occult stuff, right? Because it's like in the real world, in the professional world, he knows what he's doing and he knows what he's about. And so if he's going to take the time, if he's going to actually turn and look at this as it is, you know, then he's back to having to learn how to crawl, and it's kind of a frightening thing. So it's like, that's the best I can describe it, is like he accepts that it's real and that it's going on, but to protect his own ego and sanity right now, he's trying to stay focused on the tangible.
Given that you have this issue that has fallen into your lap with James Clark having been abducted by 2 men associated with Francis Walsh, that seems to be crying out at you like a baby that needs immediate attention, and these guys are
that's
talking
what I
occult
wrote.
stuff. Right?
Yeah. That's what I wrote.
Does that irritate you enough to like interject, or
it will
eventually?
Like that's what I'm writing in my journal now. Is that they're continuing to talk about this, but I'm becoming agitated because Mr. Clark's been abducted. So yeah, I'm gonna interject presently.
Perhaps we should begin dowsing for Herr Black. Is that his name?
Blackman.
Blackman, hey.
Although I believe that Dr. Anders had mentioned that he represented them as a lawyer.
Yeah.
If he's represented as a lawyer, then
He must
perhaps
be licensed.
Yes, he must be licensed, and perhaps we can just look him up.
I would have preferred to douse.
Yes, perhaps there's time to do some of that to see what kind of powers he may have, or if perhaps he is even one of these members of the church that continues on after their supposed demise.
Gentlemen, this is all very interesting, no doubt, but I need to remind you that a man has been abducted by known criminals and a man who took on this case at our behest, and I think it'd be best if we focused on how we're going to rescue him.
Well,
Oh, yes. Of course, I'm
not
sorry.
be drawn too far afield. So, James,
This
the
is
man
the
who-
first time that I'm hearing of this.
yes,
Oh, well, we mentioned when we first
yeah.
met that the lawyer had been taken by Francis Walsh's men.
Yeah,
I
I'm still trying
derailed
to
them
work
hard.
some other stuff out in my head, though.
Because I didn't care about
yes.
the lawyer.
Sweeney Byrne and Quinn
Yeah.
Doyle, the men who tried to intimidate me, are reported to have snatched James Clark.
Well, it would be simple. We simply find the replacement for Charlie Murphy, and then they will have no need for the lawyer.
Yeah, but we don't know how long that's going to take us. And so we have these addresses given to us of 3 locations that Francis Walsh's men might take such a person that they've abducted. And so I think we need to check these places out and see if we can effect a rescue, because we can't
Which
trust the police on this matter.
actually reminds me, the source of our information of these 3 happened to be Sergeant Logan Terry himself. He came to us after we had our meeting with Dr. Call and sent Dr. Call to go speak with the young mental patient that had been pulled from Harvard after his contact with whatever occult rituals they'd had. But he claims that he has been working on a case secretly for many years to bring down what I actually assume now to be the consortium.
Hmm.
And while
I believe that any cop would be in over his head on that.
yes, I agree, but he did give us the locations where we might find the good
Do you perhaps
Lawyer
think
Clark.
it's a trap?
That remains to be seen.
perhaps.
That Logan Terry's about as dirty as they come.
Well,
Well, I certainly shared your opinion up until this conversation.
He was very
I did get the
convincing, wasn't
sense
he?
that he was telling the truth,
Hmm.
and that his primary concern is that we not jeopardize his own undercover investigation.
but in any case, he had mentioned that perhaps using Mr. Whitmire's connections with one Patrick Malone to gain some assistance might be in order. And it had completely slipped my mind once I began talking with the good Mr. Mueller. But Mr. Whitmire, is that something that you might be able to assist us with?
So, what is, I guess, I'm trying to decide if I know whether or not Patrick Malone would actually try to take on Francis Walsh.
Well, let me make one correction. Logan Terry offered to put these guys in contact with Patrick Malone. He said it was a pity that Whitmire had disappeared and you couldn't use his understanding of the world, the criminal underworld. But not directly. You know that Patrick Malone played second fiddle to Francis Walsh when it came to bootleg liquor and the prior trades before liquor was outlawed. So, but he might take an opportunity to hurt him in some small way, especially if he doesn't have to do it directly. Say, if he could send some muscle that he's not too attached to or something like that, he might go in for it.
Yeah, that's so. I was having kind of a similar idea of trying to hire some street toughs and then make Malone aware of it that these 3 places were gonna get hit, and do with that information what you will to increase your own power.
Alternatively, you do still seem to have good relationship with Drew's crew. You know, the 4 guys you met at the beginning of this scenario. I think it was the second session, maybe.
Yeah,
when you were asking.
With 3 locations, I would want them to be on one of them. I figure we can take another one and then street toughs for... Unless Malone's got some guys he doesn't care to what happens to.
While Sergeant Terry had mentioned that a good majority of the police had been replaced with those that were in the pocket of higher-ups and were dirty, we do have at least good faith that Wayne Nichols is in good standing, and perhaps he has 1 or 2 other police officers that he might rely on, and it wouldn't be untoward if the police were to investigate a missing lawyer. So perhaps we could rely on the detective to go to one location. We could have Drew's crews go to another location, and perhaps us, along with Finn McCracken, could go to the third.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we could also, since it'll take just a minute to arrange all this, we can also send, and also see if I can find someone to keep an eye on those addresses. That way I can get more likely information on which one he might be in.
As much as I disdain the use of children, we do have some very innocent young men that are more than happy to assist us in this manner, and perhaps they will avoid suspicion where, you know, someone hanging out in a car across the street might draw an eye.
Well, no, that's exactly the route that I was thinking, was using the kids from the cemetery or from the church.
Well, we must.
I can't remember what they called themselves, though.
We really are like right on the borderline of morality in everything that we do, aren't we?
I must again remind everyone who this is linked to. It is not linked to some mafia boss. It is linked to the consortium.
Yes.
And we must be careful and delicate in executing any of your plans, because we will not anger a mafia boss. We will anger an ancient cult.
Well, as long as we are ensured that each of the parties that are involved are only there to rescue the good lawyer.
I again iterate that the best way to save him is to offer up a new sacrifice in place of Charlie Murphy.
Well, even if we find a sacrifice, we need to have the lawyer there to make the case to sacrifice the young man.
I do not think so. I think they may just simply replace him with the sacrifice.
Well, we would still need to use the legal route in order to get the young man free.
Not if they are able to twist the minds of the people and just simply make them think that they are executing Charlie Murphy.
Have we seen a point where they have done something along those lines? Because if all we have to do is give them a name, then we have already done such.
They don't want a name, they want a body at the exact location. Remember?
I believe we had different understandings of what they meant by sacrifice. I thought that they meant that we would have
given
someone
an address.
tried.
We were given an address to deliver.
A name. Yeah.
Okay, a name.
Yeah, not necessarily a body. I may have misspoke, but my memory was also there's a name you can dead drop.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you if this is suitable. The only advice he gave is that it should be somebody who fits the particulars of the crime, or can be seen to fit the particulars of the crime.
So at the very least, I believe that the boys at Harvard are our best bet.
I agree, and Detective Nichols has been doing some investigations up there, so we should be able to hear from him, unless you have heard anything else.
But I would view this as a carrot, is what the lawyer is. He is working for us. He is a carrot to ensure that we get the job done.
Yes.
If you go and you just snatch the carrot from the stick...
Which is why we must have the name to drop at the same time that we rescue the young man.
I will remind you, Mr. Monroe, that when you met with the consortium member earlier today, he did seem somewhat wary about your idea
of the Harvard boys.
Of the Harvard boys, because they had a lot of assets in place on the campus.
Which I brought up when they were first originally mentioned, but...
Yeah. But that you kind of got distracted because you mentioned the Liber Ivanus, and it took him down a totally different path. So it might have just seemed like a small detail, but
Okay.
it is there now. I mean, those people could be more complicated. You don't know
Well,
to pin it on.
either way, it will take some time for us to gather the resources to try to rescue the good lawyer. And in the meantime, you and I can perhaps find a suitable member to offer up in his place.
Well, the dinner hour is coming up. You guys have enough time for a small errand before you might make it out to Detective Nichols' home. So you could send off a telegram or get in contact with somebody or anything else you might want to do. Or you could skip it entirely if you feel so inclined.
I would like to see if I could find those kids.
I keep waiting for Johann to pull the note that he got out.
Do you have a map here in your museum of Boston?
I believe so.
Yeah, we have a map. I believe we were
There we
marking parts of it.
Yeah, so I'll
That's what we were looking for. Was
look at the map and see where those addresses are that we were given.
Okay.
and I'm guessing near where the big red arrow is where the theater house was.
No.
No.
Actually, that remains to be discovered.
Oh. Is there a place to sit down in your...
Yeah, I'd have a table with everything.
All right. So while they're poring over the map, I'll pull out the envelope from the attaché,
Okay.
and I'll give it a peek.
Let me mark one more.
Yeah.
Where are you at, Wilbur Theater? It's a little too fuzzy on this one, so we'll put it here for now. Right there. To the south of the Boston Commons.
Okay, so that would be the other direction.
All right. To Mr. Mueller, give me a luck roll.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah,
So I start blasting.
you surreptitiously, break open the seal on the envelope there, and inside is just a card upon which is a name, and you open the envelope just to peek at it, and you see that the name is Dr. Wallace Andrews.
I'll kind of frown at that. And then I'll put the envelope back in my attaché.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Is there anything anything else on the...
No, it was
Okay.
just...
Yeah, I'll put it back in my attaché.
So to give the context again, although he didn't seem to know the particulars, he had said, let me get the wording correct. Apparently, the calculus has been done on this person and they can safely be removed from the board. With an illusion that you or Mr. Monroe might know how to do that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Monroe was included in that. I'll talk to you later. When you're not currently...
And Whitmire, it's no problem for you to get in touch with the Great Knights, as it's still late afternoon pushing on into evening. You knew their stomping grounds, and kids on bikes can't get too far from that, and you do see them cruising around, the three of them again, on their way to some activity or another when you flag them down.
Yeah, so I'll just tell them that we've got another job for you guys. We just need, if you guys are interested, at least, we just need to have you guys keep an eye on a few different houses for us. As you don't interact with anybody that comes in or out. As don't make yourself noticeable. Just keep an eye and give us an idea of whether or not they're actually occupied.
That's it? You don't want us to storm the place or nothing?
Not yet. That may be an option a little bit later. We got to try and figure out if someone's actually there or not first.
All right. I could do that. It depends on the price. How much you offering?
Well, as this is a very
Pack of
high
baseball
priority. Yeah, very high priority. I'll give you guys $2 each.
Throw in a pack of smokes, and we'll call it good.
And come to my trunk. I got all those cigarettes.
Right.
Even when we're trying to be normal, we're sinister.
So yeah, he's like, oh, great, Lucky Strikes. These are my brand. And he tears open the package, pulls it out, expertly lights it. And he's like, I'd say you got a deal.
You didn't even pack it, kid.
He's still young.
Perfect.
Dude, you could probably remove the $2 and just make it a carton each or something.
Yeah, I was
Might
gonna
be
say,
cheaper.
If I was thinking about it, I would have just offered him.
Well, actually, he'll negotiate that once he sees that you have like literal cartons in there. He'll be like, hey, just give us all the smokes and we'll call it even.
I'll look
I'm gonna
at
set
him.
up a crime empire right here. Be selling singles down on the street corner.
Hey, Lucky Strikes, yeah.
Give you one carton. Those, watching 3 locations definitely ain't worth the whole box.
All right, you got yourself a deal.
Now, if we got to storm the place, then maybe you'll get the rest.
All right, well, we're ready. I got my knife. Where do we send? If we got something to tell you, what are we looking for? What do we tell you?
Mainly what we're looking for, and I'll give him a description of Doyle and what was the other guy's name?
Quinn, or is it?
Yeah,
something like that. Quinn and Sweeney, I think.
It's Quinn and Sweeney. There you go. Yeah. But mainly you're looking for, if you see either of these two, get a telegram to me at this address or this address, which is one is going to be Detective Nichols' house. The other one is going to be Lance Monroe's shop.
Okay.
I'll be at either one of those 2 locations tonight.
All right, you got it.
As if you don't see anybody in or out or any signs that anybody's there at one of these locations, after a couple hours, right? Because it's getting on towards evening, so I figured there'd have to be some type of lighting that comes on if it's actually going to be occupied. If you don't see anybody going in or out,
He says that they do have to leave when the lights come on, otherwise Ma will kill us.
Well, it should give you enough time to figure out if anybody's actually coming in or out.
All right. You can count on us.
And if you see, and I'll give them the description of James Clark. Is that the one?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you see this guy, like, immediately send out that telegram and let me know that you saw him.
All right. You can count on it, Mr. Whitmire. And they speed off.
Yeah. Look forward to hearing from you, boys.
Was there anything else you guys wanted to do, or shall we travel out of town to Wayne Nichols' house?
I guess that's good for me.
All right. So the dinner hour has arrived. You guys have just pulled up to Wayne Nichols. He has a nice, manor house in the outskirts of Boston. Not too big or ostentatious, but looks like it was built, maybe 50 years ago and expanded. And his wife seems to take very good care of it and the help. So he meets you at the door. And he shakes all your hands, and he's like, Whitmire, Mr. Mueller, glad you guys could make it this time.
Thank you for the invite. I apologize that I was not able to make it last time, but business took me out of Boston.
Oh, that's quite all right. As I said, it's probably for the best. Well, she's almost done. If you guys would like to start this out properly with a drink, follow me to the study.
Thank you very much. Your hospitality is most gracious.
So, how is the investigation going? Anything new?
All sorts of wonderful new things. Unfortunately, I believe that nothing all too new as far as the investigation itself, correct?
One thing that has happened that is most just distressing is that the lawyer that we procured to represent
my mind.
represent Charlie Dooley has been kidnapped. He was having lunch with Dr. Call, who I believe you know from the Hermetic
Yes.
Order. He these 2 street toughs just came and took him and took off with him. We've managed to ID the men that took him, and believe that they are members of the Francis Walsh gang.
Well, that is not good.
And we will. This is something that we can discuss more about over the course of dinner. But what did you find at Harvard that may be helpful?
Well, I was hesitant to interview anybody given my current status with the Boston Police Department, but I did some digging around the matter, and I found a few things that you might find interesting. So when it comes to Porcellian, right, that was the name of the final club, I've found a few things, and the missing student and professor. So let's start. Oops. Never mind, I got to log back in. I panicked and closed out my browser. Where's the handout?
So do we actually have those? Like we see the mugshots in our stuff.
Do you actually have them?
Do we actually have mugshots of those two?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I suppose that one of us would have it in the attaché or whatever briefcase that we carry, and we could pull those out and say that these were the men that had a.
Yeah, you actually got them from Wayne Nichols.
Yeah, he gave them to me.
Oh, so yeah.
Have you seen these before?
Yeah. Do you know these men? But yeah, we'll mention that those were the two that Dr. Call had described.
All right, this one's a pretty long one, so bear with me. It's, just generally on Porcellian. So here we go. So the headline is, We, the time-honored dinner of the Porcellian Club, a gathering of many of Harvard's witty and wise. A Jew might object, but a Gentile never, to the piece de resistance which has for the past 100 years graced the table at the annual dinner of the Porcellian Club at Harvard, and which, perforce, was the subject of masticatory discussion at the supper last Saturday evening. In plain and unpretentious English, roast pig. The scene of the festivities was in their new and elegantly furnished building on Harvard Street, and the essence of tempting food permeated the atmosphere, and was an incense to its newborn shrine. There is no dispute as to when the first roast pig was served, and the club gained its distinctive name. But there are those who claim a greater antiquity for the club than its own records, which began with the porcine bill of fare in 1791. They whisper an amusing anecdote. In the year 1791, a student brought a pig into his room in Hollis. In those days, the window seats were merely long boxes with lids, used to store articles in. Said student, having an antipathy to the proctor who roomed beneath, was accustomed to squeeze Piggy's ears and make him squeal whenever said proctor was engaged in the study of the classics. The result would be a rush by the proctor for the student's rooms, where the student was to be found studying, peacefully seated on his window seat. Piggy, in the meantime, had been deposited beneath, and no sound disturbed the tranquillity of the scene. On the departure of the hated proctor, a broad grin would spread over the countenance of the joker, and in a little while the scene would be repeated with variations. But when it was rumored that this room was to be searched by the faculty, the joker determined to cheat them of their prey. So he invited some of his classmates to the room, and the pig being cooked, all present partook of a goodly feast. They enjoyed their midnight meal so much that they determined then and there to form a club and have such entertainments periodically. In order to render historical the origin of the club and also to give it a classic touch, they decided to call it the Porcellian from the Latin porcus. It is said that sometimes the squealing of a pig can be heard faintly in the club appointments even to this day. The Porcellian consists of honorary and immediate members, the former graduates, the latter selected from 3 upper classes of the university. The officers are a grand marshal, chosen from the honorary members, 3 trustees who hold the property of the club, a deputy marshal and a librarian chosen at the close of their junior year, and a secretary who enters upon his duties at the close of his sophomore year. In 1803, the nucleus of the club's present beautiful library of some 10,000 choice volumes was laid on a substantial and thoroughly orthodox basis. The Porcellian Club in 1831 enrolled under its banners the Knights of the Square Table, a club founded in 1809, and of kindred aims with its own. The enlargement of the club's library and the fact of its growing postgraduate or honorary membership roll compelled it from time to time to enlarge its accommodations. Finally, in 1889, it determined to tear down the old house where it had so long met on Harvard Street and build a new structure on its site. The new structure is of brick, handsomely trimmed in stone, and rises to the height of 4 stories with about 70 or 80 feet of frontage on Harvard Street. 2 large stores claim a part of the ground floor. but they do not encroach on the broad and handsome entrance to the club's apartments. The 3 upper floors are used exclusively by the club. The first of them contains a large hall, which opens both into the front and rear reception rooms and parlors, which in turn communicate. From each of these rooms, a door leads to the library. On the second floor, there is a billiard hall in the front and a breakfast room in the rear, with the kitchen over the main hall of the floor beneath, as well as rooms for the trustees. Nearly the whole of the top floor is taken up by a large banquet hall, vaulted by handsome rafters. One is impressed after seeing the hallowed halls of the pig, if not disappointed to have heard nothing of the namesake squilling in distant chambers. It's like, yeah, it's, I guess, the history, and if you're so inclined, they paint you a map right there. But let's see what else I dug out. Missing. So professor and student missing. This is from the Harvard Crimson, the April 25th, 1921 edition. Professor Ronan Jarvis, head of Harvard's anthropology department, did not attend his classes last week and is now presumed missing by Boston police. However, no evidence of foul play has been discovered. He was first noticed missing when he was expected to attend the senior thesis colloquium this past Thursday. His home in Somerville was found to be undisturbed by investigators. Apparently unrelated to the disappearance of Professor Jarvis, Monroe Beckett, an undergraduate at Harvard, went missing the month before. Comment by police detectives suggests no foul play, although Mr. Beckett's parents have made the claim his apartments were disturbed in some fashion. Mr. Beckett was a member of the final club, Porcellian.
Was Mr. Beckett the name of the young man that you had
was
spoken to
Betty
through the radio?
Williams.
Yeah, that's Betty's boyfriend, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
We should just pin all this on her. I mean, she's already associated with 2 people that...
Well, it's like we're actually in front of other people.
Yeah, this is just my thoughts here.
Oh, this is no time for joking, Herr Wittmeyer.
Apparently through the summer, the stewards, the students that maintain these Porcellian Club, they're emptied out when the school year is not in, as most of them go home to their families or whatnot. But they have been doing weekly Feed the Hungry, like a soup kitchen right there in the club every Saturday, from what I hear. But also they plan a bigger feast. This is from also the Harvard Crimson, the Thursday, June 2nd, 1921 edition. Pig Out Feast planned. Porcellian has announced a feast dedicated to the faculty of Harvard, and thanks for their commitment and dedication to the students of Harvard. Free your belts this Independence Day and pig out with the pork. We thank you, student and Porcellian member William Monroe, Jr. said. The feasting will begin at 4 p.m. and will continue until all faculty are fed. What is on the menu for the proposed feast is a mystery, but surely the faculty can count on Porcellian's famous roast pig, which students have whispered about for many years.
William Monroe Jr.
William Monroe Jr.
Yeah.
That's and Francis Walsh is his godfather.
Yes.
And that's why they're wanting anybody but him to take responsibility for it. And they centered on poor Charlie.
Yes.
Have you looked into the missing student or any of the other members of the Porcellian?
Just learned about the missing student today. I was thinking about going and talking to the family because, as you can see, that news article has mentioned that they claim there was some disturbance in his apartments. I thought perhaps maybe I wouldn't get in too much trouble with that one. I was hesitant to interact with Porcellian members directly. I did spy their clubhouse from afar. Pretty nice place. That's what you'd expect from a bunch of rich kids, I'd say.
And they are all rich? There wouldn't happen to be one that was down on his luck?
Well, I mean, this is Harvard we're talking about. I have a roster of past and present members. I mean, Teddy Roosevelt, for God's sake, was a member of Porcellian.
So what you're saying is we should go and kidnap Francis Walsh's godson.
Well, no.
Oh.
I'm not even sure what to do about James Clark. I mean, it's possible he's just trying to put the fear of God in the lawyer, and I don't know, you guys may not have to do anything and you'll get him back. I'm sure he would be much compromised and maybe decide not to take your case, even at the fear of being disbarred. But
Detective Nichols, I was curious. Have you ever run across a time where someone has perhaps committed a crime and out of shame or fear of being found out, they fled?
well, yes.
And would the disappearance of this young man from Harvard perhaps fit that kind of a pattern where he rapidly disappeared after a certain amount of time after the Dooley murder, or around the time of the Dooley murder?
Are you talking about the professor?
No, the young man that what was
Betty's
his name?
boyfriend.
Yeah, Betty's boyfriend.
Was it Monroe?
Murrow Beckett.
Yeah, Monroe Beckett. This young Monroe Beckett, perhaps maybe even had a hand in the disappearance of the professor as well.
Excuse me. Are you telling me what you think happened, or are you trying to paint a narrative that, like, what are we doing here?
Well, we've discovered that one of the young men of the Porcellian has gone insane.
Right.
That he had been rambling about all kinds of occult things, and it made no sense. But if him and this young Monroe, like we know that they had had a conflict with Mr. Dooley at one point after they had been chased off by Mr. Dooley, and so we know that these young men have a reason to harm him, and you know, perhaps they took something farther than they expected, and one of them it broke him, and the other one fled in fear.
I see. And he goes to open his mouth, and then you hear a doorbell chime, and it echoes throughout the house. And he's like, "Excuse me for one moment." And he comes back shortly with a telegram addressed to Dr. Andrews or Mr. Monroe, whoever.
I'll snatch it.
It's for me.
Andrews comes before Monroe.
So it's a telegram you see from Dr. Call.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, "I am at Danvers now. Stop. I must say, a dreadful pall of melancholy hangs over the Gothic structure. Stop. Fear not, as your determined and faithful companion treads forward. Stop. With a beacon of truth held before me, I will face the madness. Stop."
We're never going to see him again.
That's the end of the telegram.
You know, I'm liking this guy more and more.
Yeah, Dr. Call is...
Perhaps he is putting up a facsimile of how he views our own discussions.
Perhaps, but it is
he
wonderful.
mocking us?
So yeah, Dr. Call reports that he's at Danvers now, and he'll be looking into what we asked him to do there now.
He sent that at 1700, so in the evening.
Danvers, is that the sanitarium?
Yes, that's
That's actually Detective Nichols. That's where the young man that I was just speaking of had ended up.
So which young man is in the sanitarium? Is that the Bowers kid, right? If I have
Yeah.
the story straight. So the Beckett, he fled.
Well, we're just hearing him through the radio.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
the assumption is that the Beckett kid fled, and the Bowers young man suffered some crime of conscience or some internal struggle that broke his mind.
Well, there's an issue there. It depends on where he was
And
during the murder.
that's what we're attempting to find out.
Because
As far as the Bowers young man, when did he disappear?
I'm not sure. I don't have any information on Bowers. I had the clipping. I assume, or I don't assume. It says Monroe Beckett. Now you guys know more about Bowers than I did. When did they say he went mad? Was it as a result of this?
I'm afraid we don't know all of the details, but yes, that was actually part of the reason we sent Dr. Call out there to look or to speak with him. He has some contacts at Danvers that may give him better access to the young man than us.
And the doorbell chimes again.
When
Quite
did,
the busy night.
Betty Williams say that he went missing? She told us, didn't she?
Hold on, I want to hear this. One sec. Let me go grab whoever's at the door. So he comes back and he's like,
When he's away.
another telegram.
When he's away, I'll turn to Dr. Andrews and I'll say, there are some things that we cannot discuss in public easily in front of those who do not know Dr. Andrews. You are educated man. Surely you understand this.
I'll just give him a wink.
I'll kind of look at Monroe and then look at Whitmire.
Yeah, so another telegram from Dr. Call.
Okay.
And I'll just rub my forehead and smile.
So, I am in the belly now. Stop. I can hear the cries of the insane echoing through the halls. Stop. Although my hands quiver, I know a pertinent answer lies here. Stop. Know that I maintain a steely resolve no matter where my inquiry may take me. Stop. And that's the end of the
Are
telegram.
you reading these out loud?
Yeah.
Did you bring a stenographer with him into this?
You know,
How was it?
he sent this one,
Yeah.
4 minutes
4
after
minutes
the last
after
one?
the first one. Yeah. He has to go back upstairs.
I am sure that if we wait just another few minutes, then we will receive yet another telegram.
Well, Dr. Call is quite a character.
I await his next telegram with bated breath.
Oh, yes, Dr. Call. I suppose we all know how he is. So, sorry, that broke my chain of thought. We were getting to something. What were you saying just now, Mr. Monroe?
Oh, that part of the reason we had sent Dr. Call was to find out, when this happened and whether or not they could be related. And as far as the missing boy, I'm afraid I don't know when exactly he went missing.
And I'm sorry, Andrews, you said that you've been in radio communication with Beckett?
No. Sorry, I was thinking of something else.
But you've had some admission of guilt from Beckett.
Yeah, according to his girlfriend.
I see. So do we have any possibility of getting him to come forward?
Well, unfortunately, she doesn't know where he is now.
He's on the lam.
That is a problem. So who else we got?
Now, does the professor still exist in this new timeline?
Yes, Jarvis?
Yeah. So he had also gone missing and reportedly also played some part in this.
Yeah, I was hoping to get a look at his offices,
Well, all you needed to do was go to the anthropology department.
Right. Of course, I was working in the constraints of space and time, and I couldn't get there quite a way before matters called me elsewhere.
Kind of being a Shatner there.
But yes, I had thought about that. As I understand it, he's tenured, so his appointments have been left as is, despite his disappearance all the way back in, what was it, April, I think?
If only I wasn't constrained by space and time.
And Fiona Nichols makes herself known at that point. She peeks her head in the study and she says, dinner's on, gentlemen.
I look forward to it. I'll kind of give one last look at the door, the front door.
Waiting for another one.
Gentlemen, perhaps I should make haste to Danvers to assist Dr. Call. I'm starting to wonder if we're going to get anything useful out of him.
But he is most likely already out of the sanitarium if he is sending telegrams.
Well, he's sending them every 4 minutes, so he's probably still there walking back upstairs.
Unless he runs in there or runs out with each new location.
Well, you do know he is out of any immediate help because Danvers is somewhere at the midway point between Boston and Arkham, so it is a trip in the opposite direction out of town. But
And it would most likely delay
That's
your
true.
further investigation into.
true.
But he is your friend. I do worry.
Well, yeah, we'll just go eat. I'll ask Mrs. Nichols how she's feeling.
much better. Thank you for your help the other night. I appreciate that.
Of course. How have your dreams been of late?
I still sometimes dream of that burial mound, right? Is that what you determined it was? But they seem to be fading a little bit.
Perhaps the removal of the statue has has helped. I had hoped as much.
I'll give Monroe a kind of a angry look. Because I perceive that as him having a point in his theory as to what causes the dreams.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, since I've had this time and I've been at my wit's end with this case, I have allowed my wife to look at what notes I have, and she noticed something, or by coincidence, she has seen a particular symbol before, but I'll let her tell it. And she's like, yes, it's probably nothing. I hope I'm not wasting your time here, but I'm quite an avid reader, and there's a little bookstore in downtown Boston called the Mind's Eye, where I go to get my books from time to time.
Oh, it should have been
the Cafe
Orion.
Oh, the Orions. Yeah. Anyhow, prominent in the window is some book I picked up just because it was being advertised. The author doesn't give his name. He's simply known as The Voice. I know, it's kind of silly, but well, here's one of the books, and she puts it on the table. And she says, I know the title is absurd. It's Gargantuan Women from Mars is the title of the book. And I don't normally go in for this sort of thing, but just because it was so prominent, I thought there must be something to it. But I can assure you that it's very poor quality. Apparently, in the future, there is some cataclysm that's going to happen on Earth. So they send all the women to Mars because, well, you see, women are the only ones who can endure the long space travel to Mars without tearing each other to pieces, I guess. Yes. And when they get there, they find that Mars is actually quite a hospitable place. In particular, the red algae is nutritious for humans, and all these women grow to gargantuan size by eating this red algae and, I guess, the lessened gravitational effects of Mars. Anyhow, long story short, they return to Earth, these huge 50-foot tall women, and they terrorize the remaining denizens of Earth.
It sounds very interesting.
Yes.
Sounds like a good, interesting book. Thank you.
I'm coming to it. The thing that I noticed
apparently
at the back, this author, The Voice, well, I saw this symbol. And so you see on the jacket, it has the eye symbol in place of where the author's face would be. And the little doodle says, not since the bard has a master of narrative power put pen to paper. And it goes on with like a lot of accolades. But you see when you're flipping through it that this is a vanity press thing.
Yeah.
So,
but it has that eye symbol.
Yeah. And well, like I said, I hope I'm not wasting your time, but that I found this at the Mind's Eye in downtown Boston. Perhaps it's of some meaning to you or your investigation. But enough of that. I won't allow it at my table, if you gentlemen mind. I'd like to take conversations to a lighter topic.
I think all of us just kind of don't know what to do at that point.
I'm not used to having pornography on written form introduced at the dinner table. Even in Germany, this is rather shocking.
Yeah, it seems to be a common theme for him. He has another one like that, but this one is from the perspective of modern day. Well, sometime in the future, where the men, instead of the women growing large, the men shrunk, and apparently they're no good for, how should I put this delicately, breeding? So a team of scientists, women scientists, of course, travel to the past to find good stock for the continuation of the species.
I'm sorry, did you say women scientists?
Well, this is fiction after all, Dr. Andrews.
Indeed.
Another one, I think, was World War I, but where the Greek gods had waded into the fray and chosen sides. But yeah.
Well, I will point out as a doctor, of course, that in order to travel to Mars, you'd have to go quite fast, and women's bodies simply can't hold up to traveling faster than 38 miles per hour. The uterus will fly right out, as we all know.
Of course, doctor. Of course, you're right. Ding dong. The chime at the front door goes off again.
Let's hear what Dr. Cole.
Dr. Cole again.
Yes.
I assume at least.
Thank you, Dr. Cole. That was the most odd conversation.
And the most perfect transition time.
And I have had rather odd conversations as of late.
So Nichols comes in tapping the telegram on his hand, and he's like, Dr. Call again. I think we should really have a conversation with him. So here's the third one.
Why don't you catch the dude delivering these and tell him to just give them all at once?
I think probably in the time frame he would have came with them all at once, but it seemed more funny to do it this way.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, yeah.
So this is a little bit later.
Yeah,
So
good.
Wallace Bowers is an extraordinarily troubled young man. Stop. He is quite mad and babbles at length about being the savior and the destroyer. Stop. He speaks of multiple lives. Stop. He says the hunters are coming, and worse. Stop. He claims his eye has been opened. Stop. He can see them and other creatures that lurk on phases man should not comprehend. Stop. I am gathering my courage in the cafeteria for another bout with the young man. Stop.
So, at least it seems like Dr. Call's enjoying a lovely evening meal as well. I do have to compliment you on your this fantastic dinner.
What is it?
Roast pork.
Of
And
course,
a bit
it
of
is.
serendipity. But look, my dear husband is eating the vegetables.
Ah, wonderful. I'm glad that the malady is past. And once again, I must compliment you most thoroughly on a most wonderful dinner. And
I'll kind of start covering my plate just in case. Because I believe that was what happened last time, right?
Yeah.
It was around the compliment.
yeah, something around then. Yeah. But yeah, I'll express my gratitude once again for the meal and the hospitality.
But I'm not looking like disgusted. I'm anticipating.
Right. Well,
And
she
now disappointed.
she doesn't vomit. She says, well, I will go get the dessert prepared. Please, if you want to keep this book for your investigation, go ahead. I do not recommend reading it, though.
I'll take it. And I'll actually kind of flip through it a little bit. Just kind of,
That's always fun to do with bodice rippers, is just find a page and see how stupid it is.
yeah, just like maybe find a beginning of a chapter or an end of a chapter and like read a couple paragraphs and then flip through again. And
Yeah, you
just more out of curiosity of why a book like this would be attached to the symbol, like knowing what the symbol is.
Well, it doesn't actually touch on any of those subjects. It really is just about the fiction that person's writing, the voice, whoever they are. But you do get a sense from reading it, as you came across people like this in college, that there is a variety of author that is uniquely lacking in self-awareness about their own ability. And this comes out in every page, He constructs these like dramatic moments and then totally wrecks them with either imprecise language or just being too heavy-handed,
Okay. I'll be trying to like link any kind of subtle undertones or anything like that with the occult things that we've known the eyes to be associated with.
I'll be kind of poking my nose. Perhaps if you take the first letter.
Yes, I was thinking about perhaps some cipher or
You read that direction. I'll continue to read backwards and upside down. Perhaps we'll find some things.
But there's the stamp for the Mind's Eye bookstore on there and the address of where it is in Boston. You can actually give me a navigation roll when you look at that address.
I got too many telegrams up for me to find my character. There's my character. Navigation.
Dude, my navigation's a 10.
I know, mine too.
Mine's a 70.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, I'll say I'm afraid I don't know where this Mind's Eye is. Dr. Andrews, Mr. Whitmire, Johann, perhaps you know, Mr. Nichols?
I haven't heard of it.
What are we doing? Navigate?
Should I push it?
Nice.
I know right where it is. I built it.
Wow.
I've been staying there. It's my shop. I wrote that.
We found the voice.
That would make sense as to why they would want me to eliminate you, because you are already a member of the consortium.
Wait, what? Eliminate?
So you
I think I know
But
why.
before you
became a
eliminate
doctor
me,
now.
let me do that operation on you.
Oh, of course.
That's the only thing saving you from being eliminated right now.
Yeah.
Is he still waiting on that trepanning? Yeah, so you just happened to walk by it because it was by the Omni Parker house in downtown Boston.
You know, weird stuff happens at these dinners. Perhaps we should perform the trepanning here to keep with tradition.
And I need an ounce of flesh removed.
Which does have some, once Omni Parker house is mentioned by Dr. Andrews, this does trigger in your guys' mind, because just last night while you were dousing around from the graveyard, you had found a ley line that ran in that direction.
And the Omni Parker place is
It was like north.
like right where that arrow is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whitmire had also stayed there and had an encounter with a being.
Was it Omni Parker Publishing?
Omni Parker House. It's a luxury hotel.
Okay.
Is that where Mr. Blackman found me?
He
Or
found
was
you in
that-
the second place. That's where you fled after
Oh, that's
finishing
right.
the unnamed cults.
Where the gods reside?
All right. Ding dong.
Nice. Right on time.
Oh, cuts off a swear and he goes up to the door, comes back. Dr. Call, of course.
Yeah. For all his eccentricities, this is becoming rather entertaining.
I have it. Stop. Bowers says Monroe led the fateful ritual. Stop. Although perhaps it is not in its Gaelic spelling, but the Anglicanized Monroe instead. Stop. Although the French Monroe is certainly a possibility. Stop. I am spent for now and will seek lodging. Stop. If more is needed, please inform me, else I will return in the morning. Stop.
Well, there's your proof.
So, yeah.
Sorry. Go for it.
We just got to go find Gaelic, French, and whatever other spelling of Murrow's, so we can convict all three.
Well, was Beckett's last name Monroe?
His first name was.
Oh, Monroe Beckett. Okay.
Yeah, so which Monroe is he talking about?
Well, that's for us to decide.
I'll say, well, Detective Nichols, you have a little bit more experience with this. Do you believe that this kind of a confession from someone who has obviously undergone a psychic break could be used in court?
Well, I think it'd be the same situation as young Charlie
Yeah.
Murphy, where they'll have to, figure out if he's fit to stand trial. But I suppose you could rule out, if you still thought this Bowers, who Dr. Call's talking to, you could maybe message him and figure out when he was admitted there, because that's kind of a rock solid alibi if he is in Danvers during Mr. Dooley's murder.
Yes. I suppose so. Perhaps as we leave, we can send a telegram to Dr. Call to gather that information for us. And
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
All right, so the dinner progresses. Dessert is tasty cream pie with, some light talk, mostly led by Fiona Nichols, who is, despite, the surface level nature of the conversation, quite a delight when it comes to that, because she's very complimentary to your guys' various attitudes. And she apparently buys wholesale into your grandfatherly appearance, and is happy to listen to your stories or tell you some of hers.
Does she have any particular interests? Or?
Well, she studied biology in college, but
That's
she's quite fallen out of practice with it. She's not up to date. A little bit with the psychoanalytic method, but she's not too much into it. In fact, most people she talks to don't really want to hear what she has to say. But she does say that she thinks Freud would have something to say about the voice and his large women thing, for sure. Wouldn't you agree?
Unfortunately, my psychoanalysis is rather low, but my psychology is decent.
Yeah, something repressed going on there, I'm sure. But
Oh,
so those are her interests.
Of course, all sorts of people must find an outlet to express their deeper hidden desires, unleash the ed, so to speak. Very simple.
at her comment, I'll try and find a passage where that would stand out.
Yeah. It's so there's because the perspectives will be from the men left back on Earth, these few survivors. So they're like trembling at the sight of these giant women, but an excitement is aroused in them as well. And I'll leave it at that. It gets a little bit more,
Yeah.
what do you call it?
Perhaps a domination fetish. I apologize for using a vulgar term, but
Oh, no, that's quite all right.
my
That's
English is
not my first rodeo, as they say.
I will just leave it at that, Frau Nichols.
It's an American saying, I assure you.
Your euphemisms leave me perplexed many times. Thank God.
Well, the dinner wears on, and Fiona excuses herself from it, and Wayne Nichols says, well, I suppose we should probably decide what, if anything, should be done about James Clark. And
Do you have any men at the police station that you would fully trust? Ones that you may have trusted with this investigation if you had not found us?
I can think of a couple names.
Okay, we were discussing a rescue operation, as it were, for the good lawyer, and I'm afraid that there are just too many locations for us to be able to be at them all at once, and we fear that if we attempt to enter one, then the others would be, if he happened to be at one of the others, that he may be moved or dispatched of.
I'll contact them as soon as we're done here. Which of the addresses did you want them to keep an eye on?
Gentlemen, Mr. Whitmire, you have the most experience with these kinds of situations, so perhaps...
Where
perhaps you have some-
are those addresses? Like, what are they all in the same part of town?
Yeah, I'll move.
On the waterfront.
So you sent the Great Knights there.
Okay.
So you have the other two on the northern border of the Mystic River, the shores of the Mystic River.
Do you happen to have a map of Boston, good detective?
Yes,
As I
and
will...
some push pins.
It's been tattooed into his back.
And a token of 3 boys. That's weird.
So, just out
Send
of
it to
curiosity,
this one.
I'm
Okay.
going to point out the place where the theater was that Johann had been, point out the place in the Boston Commons where we had found the ley line for the that had run through, and then where the Omni Parker house, and try and follow a path to see if that leads to any one of the 3 locations.
Perhaps it will draw a pentagram.
Yes, because, and I'll point out the locations of where Lily Flores' statue is, the Corbett House, and the Church of Contemplation are, and those line up.
Unfortunately, we have 7, I believe, right? Or was it 8?
Yes,
So
and
not quite a pinnacle.
my curiosity is whether this line runs directly to a location of power. And I'll be kind of mumbling this to Johann on the side, not really including everyone. But perhaps one of the 3 locations is yet another location that we should investigate. In any case, I believe that we should be the ones to go to that location. So,
It looks like there's only one location left that needs watching.
okay. And it does kind of line up with the general line, sort of.
Okay. So with farewells and thanks, you depart from the Nichols house on your way to keep an eye on this final location. Maybe not all of you, but it's while you're leaving that we will close today's session, and we'll have to pick up next time.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for playing, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, man.
Thanks, Travis.
I had too much fun thinking about that Dr. Call.
Yeah. That was great.
This has been a Death Watch production. Thank you for listening.